Hello everyone, my name is Srafi and I'm thrilled to have all of you with me. And today the TCG Banlist has been announced, so let's take a look at the changes and see what we can do with this new list. Ready to cook? Up first, we have Blaster along with Redox, Tempest, and Tidal all going to 3. The Dragon Ruler package is pretty strong. The main problem that I see with this is that I don't think that the rank 7 engine is good enough anymore. I do think that Dragon Rulers are an interesting deck, and it would be interesting to see if they could become a dedicated strategy, but I don't know that they can carry a list by themselves anymore, and there's not really a good end board for 7s unless you use them primarily as a Kashtira engine, which, I mean, you could do that, but I don't know that you would ever use 3 of them if you were just playing them as an engine in cash. I feel like 2 is enough for all of them in that case. So, yeah, I don't see this particularly changing much of anything, which is probably why they got changed. Next up, we have Dino Wrestler Pankratops going from 2 to 3. Pankratops, for those of you that don't know, special summon it from the hand if your opponent controls more monsters than you, and you contribute it to pop any card as a quick effect. This is a useful tool, but at this point I think there are better tools to use going second, and Pankratops is a very bad card going first, so it might see play in a dedicated Dragon Ruler list since it is level 7 and also Earth, which is useful. But for, I don't think that it's going to come back to the level of widespread use that it saw when it first got limited. Next up, we have Lunalight Tiger going from 2 to 3. This is a lot more interesting. So, Lunalight Tiger allows you to revive a Lunalight monster once per turn from your graveyard, but it's a soft once per turn, and it's a pendulum effect. Lunalights do have the ability to recycle this card in archetype with Lunalight Yellow Marten, and they also have an in-archetypal Foolish Burial with Lunalight Kaleidochick. And Lunalight Kaleidochick's soft, Foolish Burial effect is a soft once per turn, so you can continue to use its effect if you summon more than one copy of it, or if you are able to revive it without negating its effect, which Tiger does. So, oh no, I'm sorry. Kaleidochick can mill even if its effect is negated. So yes, you just continue to mill with the Lunalight Yellow Tiger. So this is a very powerful card, and the question is, what would you do with this? Plenty of the Lunalights are level 4. All of them have good grave effects. They're all dark. So this could definitely be an engine for something. It's not going to be Yubel, because Yubel Fiend locks, and they have Fiendsmith, which is way better than Lunalights. So I'm not really sure what sort of deck Lunalights would see play in, but now that Tiger is unlimited, they're definitely going to be experimented with, and I look forward to seeing what people can come up with. Trust me, I do think that we're going to see a top this year that involves Lunalight Tiger. Rescue Ace Airlifter is going from 1 to 3. Rescue Ace Airlifter is a level 4 Fire Warrior monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand. When your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you contribute this card from your hand or field and special summon a Rescue Ace monster from your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Airlifter is the starter for Rescue Ace. It's a good card, and Rescue Ace is a very powerful deck. It is able to build quite a lot of disruption and interruption. And the boards that it makes are pretty solid. Snake Eyes is getting pretty heavily nerfed with this list, so it makes sense that Rescue Ace would kind of be compensated, because Rescue Ace was primarily nerfed because they were so good when paired with Snake Eyes. I don't know that Snake Eyes is going to see play as an engine in Rescue Ace anymore, but I do think that a dedicated Rescue Ace list could be really good if Airlifter is back at 3. I'm interested to see what people are going to do with this. Thunder Dragon Colossus and Ib, the World Chalice Justiciar, are going from 2 to 3. This changes nothing. Neither of these cards is a card that you would play it more than one anyway, except for if you were playing a dedicated Thunder Dragon list. So if you want to play Colossus in an actual Thunder Dragon list in the TCG, congratulations. But otherwise, this changes nothing. Opening the Spirit Gates is going from 1 to 3. Yeah, they shouldn't have limited Opening the Spirit Gates to begin with. I understand that Yubel was a dangerous deck, but Opening the Spirit Gates was not like part of that. It was an engine that was good in Yubel, but the Yubel cards were what made Yubel powerful. And I don't feel like Opening the Spirit Gates being at 1 nerfed the deck enough, which clearly Konami felt the same way because they made other changes. So I'm happy about this. I'm going to continue to play my 3 copies of Opening the Spirit Gates. Thank you very much. Cyberjar is going from 1 to 2. This changes absolutely nothing. If you have never seen this card before, Cyberjar is a flip effect that says destroy all monsters on the field. Both players reveal the top 5 cards of their deck. Special summon all revealed level 4 or lower monsters in attack position or face down defense position, and then add any of the other cards to their hand. So it's a dark hole that draws both players 5 cards and then freely special summons as many revealed level 4 or lower monsters as possible. This card was insane when I was a kid, but it's terrible now, and that's just because it's a flip effect. Danger Jackalope is going from 1 to 2 along with Danger Tsuchinoko. Excellent. These cards are... the Danger engine is incredibly consistent and incredibly powerful. And part of the reason for that is because it's not once per turn. Like, you can use Tsuchinoko and Jackalope as much as you want, and even if it's the same card, right? Like, even if your opponent tries to negate the card, you can continuously activate its effect. So it can't be ashed. It's just a value generation engine. They're both level 3, which is useful, and they're both dark. So these cards are... they're dangerous cards to have, and they are very generic, but they do serve a purpose for a lot of decks. And I don't think that cutting decks off from a useful side hustle is necessarily a good thing. Yes, this draw engine does benefit dark decks more than other decks, but still, now that Appaloosa isn't in the game, you can't make as much use out of these buys as you could before. And I feel like Appaloosa was really kind of the problem with Dangers to begin with. So I think this is fine to have them both at 2. I expect this is going to be similar to just Justicia and Colossus. They'll probably put these cards to 3 at the next ban list. Ava is going from 1 to 2. This is a lot more difficult to evaluate. So Herald of Ultimateness is a very dangerous card. It's a level 12 ritual monster that can negate special summons and also can negate the activation and effect of any spell, trap, or monster effect. You can argue that a ritual monster has to be that powerful to see any play at all, and I would agree with that. But the question of Herald of Ultimateness is similar to the question of Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, where do we want a card that can negate 8 or 9 cards at the same time to be in the game? And you can argue that Herald of Ultimateness is less generic than Appaloosa, and I would agree with that, but the question is whether it's the generic access to the card that's the problem, or the actual just negating a bunch of cards with one card. If the consensus is that Herald of Ultimateness negating 4 cards is fine, but negating 6 cards is bad, well, that's what Ava was doing. Ava was giving you those extra resources to allow your Herald of Ultimateness to just continuously negate everything. So Ava going to 2 does open that up a lot. And if Ava goes to 3, I do think that Herald of Ultimateness will come back in full force. I don't know how powerful it'll be, but I do think that people will absolutely make the effort to play it, because it's just a really good card, and Ava is a really good support for it. But at this point, I'm sick of the meta, so I actually don't really care. Herald of Ultimateness is unique in that the ability to negate special summons is very useful No. I was going to say the ability to negate special summons would be very useful for dealing with Tenpai, but they synchro summon as an effect. So, I mean, you can still negate that with Herald Ultimateness, but it does mean that you can negate Segenpai if Segenpai is made during the main phase 1 under Kaime. Yeah, because you can still negate the summon of a card even if it's unaffected. So maybe that's their goal. Maybe they want Tenpai to get negated during the main phase for once. I mean, you could just ban Sengen summoning, but okay. This is fine. All right. Monkey board is going from 1 to 2. That is absolutely okay. So, Ilgi, congratulations. Monkey board is a scale 1. Unless you have a Perform Pal card in your other Pendulum Zone, this card's Pendulum Scale becomes 4. During your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can add one level 4 or lower Perform Pal monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. That's great. This is a good card. So, Monkey board is a very powerful effect. I'm not going to lie. The ability to just search by activating a Pendulum Scale and also having a Scale 1, both of those are very, very good. But we have Plush Fire that's been unlimited and errata'd, and at this point, I do think that Pendulum decks are extremely powerful, but the rest of the meta has caught up at this point. I think that Monkey Board is a good card, but it's not nearly as much of an outlier as it used to be. And this card being at full power, being played, being used, is fine, to be honest. I think you can play this card, and it's not going to break the game like it did before. So I'm all for Pendulum players coming back in full force and trying things, because they are a part of the meta as well. And you can't just ban every Pendulum card forever because the Pendulum Scale mechanic is inherently abusable. All right, newly limited. Tenpai Dragon Chandra to 1. Let's go! Get this card away from me. I'm sick of seeing Tenpai. I don't want to play against any more Tenpai players at my tables. So I hope that this just makes Tenpai players give up. Phantom of Yubel is also going from 3 to 1. And Phantom of Yubel, the effect of Phantom of Yubel has never been the problem with it. The problem with Phantom of Yubel is the summoning mechanic, which is you can shuffle cards from your hand, field, or your graveyard into the deck or the extra deck to fusion summon this card. And it cannot be used as fusion material. So this card is not... This card is not a problem with its negate. It's not. That's fine. It is that it is being used as link material, as synchro material all the time. That's just inherently unfair. And there's not really a great way to address this. They did say that the card couldn't be used as fusion material. They dropped the ball. They understand what makes the card powerful, and this card was poorly designed. The summoning mechanic is extremely interesting. The ability to shuffle cards from your graveyard to make this card, basically allowing you to get extra extension out of your Spirit of Yubel by putting Yubel back in your deck, and also letting you get multiple copies of Phantom of Yubel out at a time to use as link material and do other things with. Very, very good. But if that's not what they wanted it to do, then they should have designed it that way. So I do think that this is a card that they should just errata. You're never going to be able to make this card function the way that you want it to without an errata. So, simple way to fix Phantom of Yubel is to just add a line of text that says you can only special summon this card once per turn. You can only special summon Phantom of Yubel once per turn. If you do that, the card's completely balanced. So, and then you can play 3 copies of it. And I do think that the extension is very, the ability to repeat this effect and extend in the turn after turn 1 is very important for Yubel players. I don't like this card being at 1, but I can definitely understand that you can't be allowed to summon 3 of it in the same turn. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, they rather than putting this card to 1, they should just say you can't summon it more than once per turn. That will fix the abuse cases while still letting it function as a card. Sengen Kaimen is going from 3 to 1. Sengen Kaimen, apply one of these effects, or if you activated this card during the battle phase, you can apply all of them in sequence. Add one level 4 or lower Fire Dragon monster from your deck to your hand. Special summon one Fire Dragon monster from your hand. You can only activate one per turn. Okay. So Kaimin is the toxic card. It just basically lets you completely ignore the main phase, go straight into the battle phase, and then you get to activate all of your effects during the damage step where your opponent can't interact with them at all, and it's crazy. So, Kaimin and Chandra both being at 1 is very, very good. Tenpai does not feel like a deck. It does not feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels like you're playing through 800 hand traps just to get to your opponent's turn, and then if your opponent survives and they have 1 card, they just win the game. So I definitely like the idea that Tenpai is just being pushed out at this point. So this is good. Zodiac Barrage is going from 0 to 1. Zodiac Barrage allows you to target a face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon a Zodiac monster from your deck. If this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Zodiac Xyz monster you control, attach this card from your graveyard to that monster as material. This is an interesting card. It is a card that has seen play lots of times. Being able to special summon from the deck is obviously extremely valuable, and being able to attach this card as material gives Zodiac monsters extra resources. It's not a card that I want to see come back to 3, but I do think that Zodiac at this point should have this card if they can search it and add it. Everyone needs a good thrust target, in my opinion, and Zodiac Barrage is a very good thrust target. So I think that this card is limit 1 cards, even if you can search them, are a good place because it means that your opponent has targets. People can play Zodiac Barrage now, which is good. I want Zodiac to see play, but because people know that once you get rid of this 1 Barrage, that's all they have, it becomes a target. So the opponent can just be like, okay, I know that he can only play 1 Barrage, so as soon as he plays Barrage, I'm just going to use an effect to destroy it, and before he can declare the effect. And that's fair. That's just good. So limit 1s create easy counterplay for both players. I think it's good, and I think that this card did not need to stay banned at this point. I will say that. Okay. Newly Forbidden, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, and Jaguin the Spiritualist. Good. Get out of here. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is so terribly designed. If this card is special summon, you cannot special summon any monsters for the rest of this turn except Gimmick Puppet monsters. This is stupid. This is just, it does not say if you special summon this card. It says if this card is special summoned. There are barely any cards that are written like this. So what you do with this card is you just give it to your opponent, and they're locked into only Gimmick Puppets for the rest of the turn, which basically means they can't special summon at all. So this is just toxic. This card just needs to be completely rewritten, or just removed from the game. Like it's banned for a reason now. They should just errata this card at this point. They should just say, if you special summon this card, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Gimmick Puppets, as opposed to saying, if this card is special summoned. That's just stupid writing. It literally encourages the card to be broken and abused, and I don't like it, and I'm glad that it's banned. Jaguin Spiritualist, same thing. Neither player can special summon monsters on a level 3 that's easily searchable. No, this is stupid. Especially since you could play this card, and it's a spellcaster, so you can play it with Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Like, there's just stupid stun stuff. It's not fun. It's not interesting. Don't let it go. But now here's the interesting part. Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye has been banned. Send 1 other card you control to the graveyard. Special summon a level 1 fire monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target either Snake Eye or deal Bellstar in your graveyard. Add 1 level 1 fire monster from your deck to your hand, then place the targeted monster on the bottom of the deck. You can only use 1 effect per turn, only once that turn. This card is the starter for Snake Eyes. I don't think that Dia Bellstar is a problem. Dia Bellstar has plenty of other targets, and it can be played in other decks, so I don't want Dia Bellstar to get limited. But Snake Eye, Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye was the card that basically set up the entire long combo. Now you could say that Ash or Poplar are a problem. They are definitely pieces of the puzzle, but the combo starts with Snake Eye. So this card going from 3 to 0 is a huge hit, and good. I'm sick of it. Get this card away from me. I don't want to see it anymore. I think this is a great change for the meta. Hopefully I never see another Snake Eyes player in my entire life. My name is Rafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.